What's up, YouTube? How you doing? Kicking off our Ukrainian coverage, and it's a juicy one today, folks. It's lots of boom booms, lots of heroic videos, and unfortunately, also some bad news as well. So let's get to it. Turn this volume down in my speakers here. Big fat grain of salt. Big fat grain of salt. And yeah, quick double tap. I saw your comment there. Absolutely, I totally agree. There should be politics education. But grain of salt. This is the Kyiv Post commenting on a Russian commander top Russian commander who knows if he, okay, you know, the hyperbolic language starts fucking five words into the headline. But this is the Kyiv Post reporting on a commander saying, quote unquote, we cannot win. So let's try to get the whole comment here. Let's see what we got. This is from a viewer and chatter in the Discord, Kem Goblin. Thank you, Kem Goblin, for this link in the Discord. This song's a little distracting. A little too distracting for me. The Russian commander of the Vostok battalion fighting in southern Ukraine said on Thursday that Ukraine will not be defeated and suggested that Russia freeze the war along current front lines. It's not going to work that way. You don't get to say, okay, I'm done. Okay, we're done. Special military operation over. Okay. We just get to keep everything, right? It really doesn't work that way, guys. Alexander Kodovsky made the candid concession yesterday on his Telegram channel after Russian forces, including his own troops, were devastatingly defeated by Ukrainian Marines earlier this week at Berzotne, damn it, and in the Zaporizhzhia Donetsk regional border area. Quote, can we bring down Ukraine militarily? Question mark. Now in the near future? No. Kodovsky, a former official of the so-called Donetsk People's Republic, said yesterday. Okay, so he's one of those Russian mill bloggers. I guess he's mill blogging, but he's also a member of the military, active member of the military. Quote, when I talk to myself about our destiny in this war, I mean that we will not crawl forward like the Ukrainians, turning everything into destroyed Bakhmuts in our path, and I do not foresee the easy occupation of cities. Wow. Guys, who was responsible for destroying Bakhmut? Did you know it was the Ukrainians? Didn't you know that? Guys, it was the Ukrainians that bombed Bakhmut incessantly. And now, did the Ukrainian military bomb Bakhmut when they were defending it? After Russia had completely destroyed it? Yes. This sentence makes it sound like Russia was defending Ukraine from bombing its own city. We did everything we could to save the Ukrainians from the Ukrainian government. We sent wave after wave of meat into the Bakhmut meat grinder to protect the precious Ukrainians. We can, though, enter a phase that is most unfavorable for Ukraine and its quote-unquote independent state. Isn't that funny? Here he is talking about giving up, and he won't even admit, oh, it's independent. Oh, no. It's a puppet. It's a puppet of Joe Biden, guys. Really. I love that. It's so simple, right? I mean, the United States, all-powerful CIA and intelligence agencies, the most powerful government and organization on planet Earth, but it's also really weak, guys. It's also really capitalist and really weak, and it's in late-stage capitalism. It's going to collapse any second. But they're also so fucking good that they have complete control over the Ukrainian government. Okay, guys. We can, though, enter a phase that is most unfavorable for Ukraine in its independent state, a phase of neither peace nor war. So it's the war that Russia wants to fight, an atrocious slog. We could be in this phase if instead of the special military operation, the currently occupied territories were recognized and officially taken under guardianship. They already have. What would require a completely different twist of history? Kodovsky said, yeah, okay, yeah. You know, if you look at history inaccurately, yeah, things would be different. You know, if you look at our invasion of Ukraine differently and we succeeded in taking Kyiv, things would look a lot different. But Russia already did this. Territories were recognized and officially taken under guardianship. Russia, they had a fancy little pretend election where people were voting. They did a whole fucking ceremony, a whole concert. You know, the whole singers singing the fucking, you know, stupid Russian song that's like they can't stop playing. Kodovsky is right at best. All the Russians do is hold what territory they have, probably over time, not even that. No, they can't. That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to call out. They can't hold this territory. If they just try to stop, right, and put all their effort into defense, they will still be pushed back. They will still be pushed back. If they put all their effort 100% into defense, they would still be pushed back. This is a fantasy to think that all they need to do is just double down on defense and hold what they've captured, and Ukraine won't be able to push them back or affect them in any way. Pretend election is funny as fuck. Remember that? Kodovsky also concluded on Telegram that the likely eventual outcome of the war is some form of truce. Well, duh. It's going to be a truce if Ukraine is successful. There isn't going to be no fucking truce if Russia is successful. It'll be a complete and total victory for Russia. There will be no truce. The well-regarded think tank, the Institute for Study of War, assessed Kodovsky's comments in the context of A, an ongoing power struggles among Kremlin elites, and B, the practical consequences of recent battlefield setbacks for the unit that he personally formed in 2014. No, but I heard about it. It sounds disgusting. It was disgusting. All right, so I don't have time to read this whole thing. I got other clips to get to, but you get the point. You get the point. Understandingwar.org, huh? That's an interesting website. I think I've heard of them. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is the ISW right here. Like, is this the report that I was just mentioning? Well, thank you very much for that. Quick double tap. I don't have time to read this, but maybe in my own time. I'll go ahead and put this in the political Discord here. There we go. So this is interesting. You know, it's unfortunate that Chem Goblin isn't here because he absolutely loves videos like this. But this was the moment a Lenin statue was epically dropped in Kakistan. It was planned to be removed during the reconstruction of the territory, but at the time of the work, it accidentally fell down. This incident occurred in the city of Altai in the south of the country. So I guess there was some plans to properly remove it, but yeah, the construction guys decided to expedite that request. Doesn't look like a very well kept park either. It looks like it's a very unkept park here. And there you go, fucking Lenin. There you go, bitch. You know, give me Trotsky any day. Give me Trotsky any day of the week, man. Fuck Lenin. You'd love to see it. And by the way, welcome back, Cab. I didn't acknowledge your presence. Thank you, Cab, for being here and in your comments. I appreciate that. So, wow, guys, did you know religious institutions are hypocrites and, you know, they don't, you know, they're fucking, you know, terrible. They suck. Very articulate. Did you know anything about Ukraine's Nazi history? Yes, Husky. We get into it quite a bit in the News Underground. Very unfortunate. If you're trying to say that the Ukrainian military is somehow a white supremacist military or that the entirety of the Azov battalion is somehow a white supremacist battalion, you are factually incorrect. Last time I looked it up, there's about 15 to 20% of the Azov battalion that is from the areas that normally have the white supremacy that is talked about. Not to what about the white supremacist presence in the Ukrainian military, but I would like to point out that white supremacists exist in the Russian military, quite a lot of them. White supremacists exist in the United States military, way too many of them. White supremacists exist in the Canadian military. White supremacists exist in the UK, British military, etc., etc., etc. So I am happy to criticize Zelensky for not criticizing these elements more. But Zelensky's in a rock and a hard place, isn't he? He needs people willing to fight. What do you do? With that said, once Ukraine is victorious, I just realized I didn't update my hashtags. My hashtags still say Trump, don't they? Oh, that's embarrassing. Anyway, but my criticism though about the white supremacist stuff in the Ukrainian military is that if Ukraine is successful and they succeed, if Zelensky doesn't go through his military and purge, the elements, right? At the very least, do a tattoo check. That's all he needs to do to make me happy, really. Go through your military and tell your soldiers, show me your tattoos. Do you have any Nazi tattoos? And if you do, you either get them removed immediately, or you get kicked out of the military. So I want Zelensky to do that after the war is over, and I will be disappointed in him if he doesn't do that once the war is over. If he doesn't go through his military and purge Nazis and white supremacists out of his military, I will be disappointed. I'm not expecting him to do it right now, but when it's all said and done, if Zelensky doesn't make an effort to do something about it, I will be extremely disappointed. So here's a hypocrite priest from Russia blessing a statue dedicated to Stalin. And if you're not sure of your history, Stalin murdered, with a capital M, thousands and thousands of religious people, priests, followers, burned churches, destroyed. I mean, because it was an atheist communist revolution, right? Remember godless commies? That's where this concept came from. So here we have a hypocrite in the Russian church now, blessing a statue of Stalin, dedicated to Stalin, and amazingly acknowledging the crimes of the Stalin regime. An Orthodox priest blessed a new statue of Stalin before telling the assembled crowd, quote, "Yes, the church suffered under Stalin," understatement, "but thanks to this, we now have lots of new Russian martyrs for whom we can pray." Yes, the church suffered under Stalin, but thanks to this, the suffering, or maybe is he referencing something else? We now have lots of new Russian martyrs, aka dead Russians, to whom we can pray to. I think he's talking about the special military operation. And he's basically saying this war that's gotten a lot of people killed is a good thing because it's created a lot of new martyrs that we get to pray to. Wow. That's a glass half full perspective, I gotta tell you. Never thought about that one. So is this priest just gonna walk around, mass graves and, the people, crying and being silent and stoic, looking at the piles of bodies in a mass grave, and he's gonna be, hey, now we get to pray for these people in heaven. Win-win. Look at all those fresh, dead souls I get to pray to. God is good. Loving me some of that God. Thank you, God, for my pile of dead bodies. Oh, I'm sorry, martyrs. Thank you, God, for my martyrs that I now get to pray to. Truly, he is risen. Absolutely works in mysterious ways, this G-O-double-D. Moving on from unmitigated insanity, we're going to go ahead and look at some of these clips here. The cost of one drone. Ukraine's again directly exposed thousands of Russians to Putin's madness in Ukraine. Guys, I don't like this. And in case you're wondering, Rustweld is international exhibition for welding and cutting equipment. Maybe some visitors who can't now get in could help with the repairs. Violent chess. Oh, wait, no, Volvet chess. Sorry, I read that wrong. Text is small. Volvet chess. We covered the transgendered chess story, Volvet. American education wonderfully wrong. Why is this my first time hearing about Catherine II? What, aren't you watching Great with Anna Taylor-Joy? Or whatever? Aren't you watching Great? Peter the Great, he says a lot of sex stuff. It's funny. It's not very historic, but that's okay. He says sex stuff. So guys, no, and okay, so please correct me if I'm wrong. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Is this Ukraine bombing a civilian conference? Is this Ukraine blowing up a civilian conference? Some kind of Rustweld International Exhibition for welding and cutting? So the Expo Center in Moscow after drone attack. Claims suggest lack of anti-war protests because major cities remain untouched. Is that still the case? Okay. I take it back. This is not this. It could be Russian sabotage, but this is not Ukraine launching a drone from its borders directly into civilian infrastructure. That is not the case here. This is somebody inside Russia who had a drone and flew it into this location. Is that what I'm seeing here? We cannot be rah cheering on Ukraine attacking civilian infrastructure, right? If it's people that agree with Ukraine, but it's not, Ukraine doing it, but they agree with Ukraine, that's different. Ukraine doesn't have control over every human being on planet Earth. Regardless of what, a bad actor would tell you who's defending Russia on Twitter would tell you. So as long as this isn't the Ukrainian government planning and executing an attack on civilian infrastructure, okay, I'm cool. If this is Ukraine intentionally targeting and attacking civilian infrastructure, then Putin is going to do backflips, jumping for joy. So this is a little too close to comfort for me in terms of attacking civilian infrastructure. And of course, what do we see the unsavvy people of Twitter talk about? See if I can find it here. Is it this one? But, you know, everyone, you know, putting up memes. I can't find the clip here, but I saw a bunch of memes that was like good and like, yes, and we're getting them. And yeah, this is great. No, this is not great. If you want to help Ukraine win this war, you do not want Ukraine attacking Russian civilians. Do you wanna lose Germany? Do you wanna lose France? You know, do you want Germany and France to stop supplying Ukraine with weapons and money and support? Ukraine attacking public infrastructure is a great way to do this. Yeah, quick double tap over here with his... Is it Quay Bono? How do you say that? I don't know. I've heard it before. It's like Cassius Belli, right? One of those words. Those smart military words that military people like to use, right? Oh, it's Cassius. What's the Cassius Belli of this situation? Right? Yeah, Volvet. You know, but hey, look, Ukraine, like I said, Ukraine doesn't have control over every human being on the planet. If some independent actor that supports Ukraine attacks Russian infrastructure, what can we do about that? Apparently, all those Russian armed expos occur in that expo center. It is the epicenter for Russian arms sales. Does that matter? Because the propaganda is going to be like it was a civilian trade show for welding equipment. The propaganda is going to be it was a civilian trade show for welding equipment. It's not going to be that it was a military expo that was temporarily having a civilian expo. I'm just saying, Ukraine needs to be really, really careful. And all in this case, and in this situation with that drone bomb that we saw in the last tab, the only thing that Ukraine has to do is not admit that it was them. All they need to do is just say nothing. If they come out and said, oh, that was us. Yeah, we did that. We planned and did it. Oh, major problems. Major fucking problems here. You just planned and executed an attack against Russian civilians, bro. But all they need to do is say nothing, and there you go. By the way, big props to everybody who stuck around. I'm seeing all these names here. It's really lovely. Rebel Phoenix, thank you so much for sticking around. Clutch Cargo. Quick double tap, Lenny. Welcome, Volvet. I know you just got here, but welcome. Big props to everybody that's sticking around, all you lurkers out there. Thank you so much. Nah, Ukraine's been attacking, not even to say that it wasn't. Really? Yeah. So you're talking about Donbass, huh? So yeah. When after Russia invaded Donbass, some Ukrainian civilians got caught up in that desperate defense to prevent Russia's invasion. Is that what you're talking about? Or are you trying to pass the propaganda talking point that Russia was invading Ukraine to defend Ukrainian civilians from the Ukrainian government bombing it? Is that it? Yeah, Belgrade, yeah. Yeah, you know, so Ukraine's ultimately the bad guys here, right? I mean, the invasion's justified, right? I mean, Russia kind of had to invade Ukraine, right? Oh yeah, no, yeah, they're definitely both sides, Volvet, both sides. Yeah, I'm sure you bring up Bucha just as much, right? You're constantly bringing up Bucha, right? Bakhmut, you're constantly talking about that. So anyway, back to what I was saying, Volvet. I mean, Russia was justified in invading Ukraine, right? They basically had no choice. They had to invade. But Volvet, right? I mean, Russia had no choice. They had to invade, right? So here we have more explosions in Moscow. As long as they're military targets. As long as they're military targets, I'm okay with this, but I gotta say, it's, you know, you're one massacre away. Yuck. Fuck off. Fuck off to the person that just followed me. Yeah, Volvit, both sides, buddy. Both, absolutely, both sides, really bad. Both sides, definitely. What about both sides? Anyway, back to what I was saying. Russia is justified in invading Ukraine, right, Volvit? I mean, both sides, right? I mean, both sides. Both sides. Totally. So Russia is totally justified in invading Ukraine, right? Volvit, right? Russia has released footage of their raid against the Turkish vessel Sukru Okan in the Black Sea. Will Erdogan and Turkey react against this form of piracy? Also, couldn't the Russians send a commander who knows how to speak English? So, wow, this is nuts. I mean, I think it's fair to say, the friendship between Turkey and Putin is over. Volvit, where's the response, buddy? Does it take time to press 3 keys on the keyboard? So I notice you're not saying no or yes. I notice that you're being a little bitch. Was Russia justified in invading Ukraine? Yes or no? Can you give me one of those? Or you want to get, it's complicated, huh? Both sides, it's complicated. So here's Russia invading a Turkish civilian tanker. Yeah, no, I was looking pretty closely for that word no, and I noticed that was the one word that you weren't using. So thank you so much for clarifying that you agree that Russia is in no fucking way justified, no matter what happened, in the, I want to say this correctly, Belgorod region. So I'm glad you admit that. So Volva, you're talking about Zelensky. How is Zelensky to blame for defending his country from an invasion? Right? All these politicians, right? How is Zelensky to blame for being invaded?
Stop machine! Stop machine! Stop machine! Stop it, Giant! Stop it, Giant! Keep calm and listen to me!
So Russia invaded Ukraine because of NATO? Wow, I didn't know the US had that kind of power. No kidding. That almost sounds like a justification for the invasion. I mean, certainly NATO wasn't friendly to Russia, but I had no idea that they had the power to force Russia to invade because they were so mean to them.
Okay. Sit down, please sit down. Please sit down. Keep calm and listen to me. What is the captain? Speak English.
Okay, Clutch Cargo. Thank you for that clarification. Thank you for that context, that more detail on that. I'm still a little worried, but that does help.
Yes. Good day, sir.
No, yeah, Volvit, both sides, buddy. Both sides. Do you want to answer my statement? What did Zelensky do, to deserve to be invaded, right? I mean, because it's all the politicians, right? All of them are responsible for this war. All of them. What did Zelensky do to deserve to be invaded?
I'm Russian Navy officer. My action will be recorded
Both sides.
video. Please don't shoot my group on video. My question? Yes.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. So all those the begging and discussions that were happening when Russia was lining its troops up on the Ukrainian border, they should have just shouted louder Is that what they should have done? They should have begged Putin harder to not invade Ukraine when he was lining up his troops on the border. Problem is, nobody saw that Putin has the problem. The geopolitical world order needs to bend over backwards to appease Putin. Is that what you're saying?
Is very wide, stop and jam, and long time over. Chief engineer and oiler going to deck. On the deck? Yes. Why? No, engine room.
I don't know about tackled the corruption, Michael Richards. Yeesh. Name. You've been here before. I think you've explained that you're not talking about Michael Richards, the comedian. Oh, that's nice, Rebel. But, I mean, Zelensky has made some really great overtures towards tackling corruption, right? Most recently, replacing all of the military recruiters with soldiers from the front line.
Chief engineer and oiler. No.
So, man, I'm saying they could prevent it if they saw it and had pushed harder, but they didn't. So it's not Putin's fault. It's not Russia's fault that they invaded Ukraine. It's the entire world who weren't pushing hard enough against Putin. Huh? Wow, that sounds really friendly to Putin. It sounds like Putin's actions are just taken out of the equation completely. That's cute. Guys, didn't you know? All they needed to do was have a discussion with Putin and he would have stopped invading. If they just would have talked harder, if they just would have discussed harder, then this invasion wouldn't have happened. Dang NATO. Didn't NATO know? Because you're making excuses for Putin's empire. Whether you're cognizant of it or not doesn't bother me. Whether you're aware of the excuses that you're making, that's not my problem. Thank you for that follow, Nicholas. And how are you doing?
Why you don't stop in giant? And after long time, I say you stop in giant. If radio, I say you stop in giant. You don't stop in giant. Why? Chief engineer, you don't understand.
Yok baksana da nereye çıkışın nereye aldığımız.
Thank you. You good day, sir. I thank your crew to stay and play essential. My boat lives on board.
You know, so Volvet, if Putin was so concerned about NATO, if Putin was so worried about NATO, why did he invade a non-NATO country? Wasn't NATO the threat? Wouldn't that be a good way of expressing your discontent with NATO by attacking NATO? What good does attacking a non-NATO country do in, attacking, how does that hurt NATO? My baby cakes brought me back a taro bubble tea, guys. I got a taro bubble tea. They didn't just sign the treaty to. Well, they didn't sign. Well, they put joining NATO into their constitution. Ukraine did. But why didn't Putin? I can't understand Putin. This dude is insane. He can't explain his decisions because he is insane. Putin's insane? I don't know. He doesn't seem insane. I think he's selfish, narcissistic, delusional, power hungry. I don't think he's insane. Putin was concerned about NATO influence, but he attacked Ukraine because he wanted free land grab. Yeah, Davey, that's the reality. But if you were going to believe the gaslighters and the grifters and the people that aren't really paying attention, it's all the people that didn't like Russia, put Russia in a corner. Okay, we got a perfect meme. Let's see what Rebel Phoenix says about this meme. Let's see here. Yeah, so here we go. NATO keeps expanding in our neighborhood, says Russia. Oh no, they're attacking and annexing countries into NATO? That's crazy. No, the countries are asking to join NATO themselves. Oh. But why would those countries want to join NATO? All right. Davy's got his back. Davy's got his back. Hey, look, hey, Vols, if you're still here, Volvet. There are some very clever people who make it their job to gaslight and plant the seed of doubt when it comes to this situation in Ukraine and Russia. So that's why I'm so careful about people who are just asking questions sometimes. So Davy's got your back. I apologize. I'll back off. All right, moving on here. Close footage of the Russian Ka-52 downed outside of Robatna yesterday. So another Russian helicopter downed. You just hate to see it. You just hate to see it. Hey, Volvet, what do you think about that LGBTQ story in chess? I'm curious. You're Mr. Chess Guy. What do you think about that LGBTQ controversy in chess? I think Volva Chess is saying that Putin is unstable and NATO should have been more forthcoming with support for Ukraine because Putin only understands force. Interesting. So he's actually arguing the exact opposite. Yeah, I must have really been reading him wrong. God damn, dude. I think is that an ejection from the helicopter? What is that right there? Oh, that's actually, no, that's on the camera. Well, Panda Man, that's an incredibly ignorant and reductive point of view. Did you know that there is such a thing as the feminine penis, Panda Man? Why don't you go ahead and take these 50... Oh, wait, did I just do that to Volvet? No! No, I didn't mean to do that to you, Volvet. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do... There he is. So, Panda Man, why don't you take these 55 minutes and go look up something called the feminine penis, okay? And get back to me, okay, buddy? There is such a thing. Was Catherine the Great concerned about NATO intervention in Ukraine in the 1700s too? That's a good point, Clutch Cargo. I'm sorry, Volvet. I'm sorry. I was trying to time out Panda Man. It's a fun tradition here in the News Underground, is timing out Panda Man for his bigotry and racism. Last controversy I knew about in chess was this sort of Bluetooth vibrator so they could cheat. That was not proven. That was not proven. Notice the other helicopter bugged out fast? Yeah, I don't blame him. Don't blame him one bit. Yeah, Michael Richards, yeah. He's another proud, freshly trained, trained after a couple sessions of PragerU, and he's ready to go squash some liberals. He's ready to go get them, guys. Oh, are you triggered? Maybe Panda Man was here. Got him. Yeah, he's another one of those guys. He really does take it upon himself to, like, he's trying to counter program my audience, you know. Oh, this left winger, he doesn't know what he's talking. You trust me, guys. Jordan Peterson knows what's going on. Yeah, someone's mowing their lawn quite loud. I don't know, guys. Look, as long as they're military targets, but fuck, dude. It's cutting it too close for me. You know? If it's an ammo dump, if it's an airport, if it's a chip, making chips for missiles, you know? Okay, so this is the memes that I was talking about. This is the memes I was talking about earlier. You know, more. I want more. More attacking civilians. I don't. As long as it's not civilians. He's got his little gif there. All right, Volvid. I officially apologize for giving you such a hard time. I hope you're a nice guy. I'm sorry. Oh my God, I don't have time to watch this. Okay, we're doing a special stream. We're doing a special stream where we're gonna watch this just on its own, just exclusively. I'm putting this in the chat. We're gonna get back to this later in the week. We're absolutely watching this special stream just for this episode of Vlad Vexler. Ukraine has every right to start attacking Russian propagandists, clean civilians to promote the war. Davey, you're not stupid. Are you going to sit here and tell me that the propagandists working overtime to make Russia look good are not going to fully take advantage of and utilize Russia targeting civilians militarily with drones and shit? Do you honestly sit there and tell me that that is going to work out well for Ukraine to attack civilians? That people are going to be like, oh yeah, they deserve revenge, regardless of whether it's true or not? Really? Come on, Davey. I know you're smarter than this. All right, let's get a little map update from reporting from Ukraine. We are going to do a Dennis update as well because Dennis has some interesting information, not pertaining to the map specifically. Well, actually, it is specifically pertaining to the map, but different story. Ukraine can do bomb plants without attaching themselves to the bombings. That's a pretty. It's all going to work out, huh? So you agree that terror campaigns are effective? So then do you agree with Russia's terror campaign against the Ukrainians? What's different about a Ukrainian terror campaign against civilians versus a Russian Ukrainian terror campaign against civilians? Is it the revenge aspect? Does the revenge justify that then? No one sees a problem with this? Trying to win a war here. I think Ukrainians are using drones in Moscow because they want to shake Russia's out of the depoliticization to make them understand the war is real. Yeah, I agree. And I agree. As long as it's independent actors, as long as it is people that are fans of the Ukrainian government or Ukraine in general, but are not talking to or working with the Ukrainian government or military, then yes. What can we do? They're rogue agents. Okay. Davey, you're too fucking smart to actually believe that that what you just said is gonna be a convincing justification for the propaganda wave that we're gonna have to deal with if Ukraine starts shamelessly attacking civilians like what you talked about. Oh, well, a civilian died in Crimea Bridge. Remember that? Well, it's all justified. I feel like I'm ingesting crazy medicine. Humans will be extinct by 2026. You think we're going to get out of it that easy? We're not. We're not going to get out of this that easy. Orange Gamer Cat, thank you for sticking around as long as you have. I think maybe probably aware that they are valid to change their opinions. Wrong. Fucking wrong. Wrong. Okay, buddy. Moving on.
Today there are a lot of interesting developments in the east. Here, after Ukrainians pushed Russians from Klishchiivka and Andriivka and forced Russians to retreat all the way behind the railways,
we got
Ukrainians
a lot
started
more
gradually
time on
clearing
this
the
earth.
area and setting the ground for the next attack. Geolocated footage shows that Ukrainians operate deep inside the village, and that despite the fact that Russians no longer maintain a permanent presence in the village, Russians are still trying.
Don't get it twisted. We're not getting out of it this easy. We're not getting out of it with a mass human extinction event. Okay? So instead of crawling under your covers and sucking your thumb and giving up, how about you start thinking about ways that you can contribute to changing this? Eliminating someone like this lady would be a huge blow to Russia. I'm not even going to show this, Davey. You're wrong, man. Ukraine should not be supporting a civilian terror campaign against Russia, even if it is out of revenge, deserved revenge. It is not going to change. It is not going to positively change the war for Ukraine. Oculus. Thank you, Oculus, for being a lurker as well and popping up in the chat once in a while. Thank you, Oculus. 8-bit goners. Uh-oh, you're a gamer. What are you doing over here, buddy? This is politics. This is politics, buddy. What you doing over here? Did you get lost? XQC is that way, buddy. You know? Yeah, Tim the Tap Man's over there, honey. Politics. I'm a conservative libertarian. Oh, well, welcome. We love conservative libertarians here.
To get their positions back. Another footage confirms that Ukrainians have been holding defense in the houses for multiple days in a row. Recently, the situation got heated once again as Russians renewed their attempts to return control over the lost positions. The main Russian attack came from the east of the village. As the village is stretched vertically, by attacking it from the east, Russians attempted to stretch the contact line.
Davey, if you are a mill blog, if you are a pro mill, like a known Russian mill blogger, yeah, you're not an average civilian. Okay? It's a really bad look though if the Ukrainian government targets a civilian house, right? Or a cafe, a civilian cafe like that last mill blogger that got blown up by a statue of himself. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. Yeah, Orange Gamer Cat, you know, pacifism just doesn't work, dude. It just doesn't make sense. Pacifism is a nice idea for, like, you know, a utopian future, but the world and life and society that we live in right now has no place for pacifism. Pacifism is just an excuse for your enemy to roll over you while laughing. Pacifism just tells your enemies, I'm very easy to push over. I'm sure your cats are lovely.
And recapture a significant portion of the settlement in just one push. Geolocated footage shows that Russians used the best Russian tank T-90M and several armored fighting vehicles loaded
Clutch.
with assault units. Simultaneously, Russians started advancing from Andriivka. Even though Ukrainians previously pushed Russians out of the village, Ukrainians still struggled to enter it because Russians established a defense line 50 meters from the settlement, right behind the railroad embankment. Recent geolocated footage shows how Ukrainians are striking Russian positions on the embankment, gradually undermining the Russian defense.
Nice.
The situation became very dire, which is why Russians sent Hero Hall 3 tanks T-90M together with multiple armored fighting vehicles. Such a strong shift in dynamics seems to have come out of the blue. However, there is a good reason for it. If you still remember, several weeks ago, the Russian High Command fired the commander of the 106th Airborne Division for raising the alarm about the situation in Klishchiivka.
I find it fascinating that Russia has lost more generals and, you know, top ranked commanders in this Ukrainian war than the United States lost in all of World War II.
And demanding more resources. As expected, after he was sent on the so-called vacation in the heat of the battle, the Russian defense without support collapsed, Russians lost 2 powerful fortifications and 2 settlements behind them. Apparently, the Russian High Command understood that they made a grave mistake and recently returned Major General Silivestrov from his vacation, gave him more resources, and ordered him to change the situation. That is how the best tanks in the Russian arsenal appeared on this front in large numbers, and Russians reinvigorated their attempts to recapture lost positions. Unfortunately for Russians, it was too late. As Ukrainians already passed the main fortifications, Russian forces had no tactical advantage. When it comes to the Russian attack on Klishchiivka, Ukrainians managed to rebuff it. Geolocated footage shows that the Russian tank got destroyed already on the approach, while the assault units that landed in the eastern outskirts got trapped there and eventually destroyed. When it comes to the Russian attack near Andriivka, Ukrainian fighters from the famous 3rd Assault Brigade ambushed the attackers right near the village and completely demolished.
Yeah, Clutch Cargo. The main reason why they're getting so close to the front line is that their presence is the only thing that seems to be able to turn around some of the efficiency deficiencies in some of these groups on the front line. So they have to, because the moment they leave, these guys, like the effort slows down big time, right? And of course that could be reflected in how many shells they shoot and all these different things, how much ammo they use. But yeah. The main reason why Russian generals have been getting smoked is because they have to get super close to the front line just to get anything done.
The Russian column still en route. As a result, Russians lost 3 tanks T-90M, 2 armored fighting vehicles, up to 65.
Oh, well, thank you, Davey. I don't know where I got that stat. Thank you for correcting me, Davey, with the correction here. And, in real time, I love to see it. The U.S. lost 40 generals in World War II. Russia has only lost about 15. About? It's like 14 and a half. So there you go. I was incorrect with that statement. I'm sorry. I don't know where I pulled that number out of my butt. That was incorrect.
Troops killed in action and wounded, and even the commander of the whole battalion. The fact that Russians are using and losing their best tanks in large numbers is a very good sign. As you remember, after a series of disastrous Russian offensive operations near Vuhledar and Avdiivka, where Russians lost a significant number of tanks, Russians started sending more and more old tanks to the front. Most of these old tanks did not have any modern equipment, and the only process of modernization that they underwent was being equipped with optics. Interestingly, last week there was a huge explosion in the Russian factory that produces optics.
They put a reticle.
Russian analysts claim that this was the result of work of Ukrainian intelligence with the goal of halting or degrading the production of tanks. And if Russians
no, Orange Gamer Cat, you're correct. The problem with the current war crimes regime is that it ignores some of the biggest war criminals on planet Earth because they're from the West, right? If Putin needs to go up for war crimes, because he does, so does Dick Cheney, so does Donald Rumsfeld, so does Obama. Okay, so that's my problem with this whole war crimes thing. Like, oh, now we care about war crimes? I don't remember war crimes being brought up one bit when we were talking about, Afghanistan, Iraq. I'm talking in the mainstream narrative, right? But now in the mainstream narrative, oh, war crimes. Putin's a war criminal. We care about war criminals. Really? Aaron Burnett cares about war criminals. I remember Aaron Burnett back in the Obama era. You couldn't get Aaron Burnett to say the words war criminal if she was sponsored by a company called War Criminals. Okay? That was a good one. Really wasn't. But you know what I mean? But now Aaron Burnett really, really cares about war crimes, guys.
Continue losing modern tanks so rapidly, the problems will obviously get exacerbated.
Yeah, Rebel Phoenix, that was a pretty
Overall,
funny one.
Ukrainians stood their ground and repelled a major wave of counterattacks. The commander of the 3rd Assault Brigade reported that Russians deployed fresh reserves from the 83rd Brigade, which complicates further movement.
Anderson Cooper cares so much about war criminals, guys.
Nonetheless, even though Ukrainian forces around Klishchiivka and Andriivka have to temporarily adopt a defensive stance until the Russians deplete their reserves, the fighters from the famous 3rd Assault Brigade continue methodically moving forward in the direction of Kurdyumivka. Recent geolocated footage shows how Ukrainians destroyed a Russian armored fighting vehicle north of Kurdyumivka. The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, recently visited the command center of the 3rd Assault Brigade in order to see for himself how they plan and execute their operations. As this brigade is responsible for a lot of territorial gains, the president firsthand wanted to get to know all their needs in order to make sure that nothing stopped them from continuing moving forward. If you're against the
this is an earlier picture of Zelensky versus what he looks like right now. Poor guy.
Sure that nothing stopped
that's what modern Zelensky looks like, and then
them from continuing moving forward.
Happier days. Happy, just a couple less wrinkles on his poor face there, poor guy. And once again, Davey, thank you for that correction. Then they wondered why an entire platoon came back with radiation poisoning. I mean, it was almost immediate. I remember reading the headline being like, "Oh, that's not sustainable. What are they getting out? You know, digging trenches in the dirt." And by the way, if you don't know about radiation and dirt, one of the reasons why areas that are heavily radiated will start going down in radiation is because it will start to be absorbed by the ground, and then new layers of soil will, you know, start to cover that radiation, and it'll start to get deeper and deeper into the earth, right? So like, you know, so eventually that's why people are able to walk around Chernobyl for a small amount of time without having to worry about major radiation poisoning, is because a lot of that major radiation has been buried through layers and layers of dirt. So what did these soldiers from Chernobyl do? They start digging trenches in the Red Forest, one of the most irradiated forests on planet Earth. And they start digging to the good radiation. They get the good stuff. Yeah, Rebel Phoenix. Yeah, that's, you know, it has a lot to do with soil. That's what I found interesting about dealing with radiation after the fact. That Russian commander that was hoping for a truce also said his troops were getting decimated by the cluster munitions, even in trenches. Yeah, I didn't finish that article. Thank you for pointing that out. It's good to hear. It's good to hear that the cluster munitions are actually working, because the fear mongering about cluster munitions is really quite effective. And I'm still on the fence. Are the numbers, you know, true? Over 90% of cluster munitions hurt civilians? There's got to be a reason why that number is so high. So I'm not going to show this whole clip here, but I wanted to show the beginning here. This absolutely insane footage, bananas footage from inside of a armored personnel carrier from Ukraine here. Not this drone. It looks like this is a drone grenade being dropped on a bunch of mines. Looks like those are anti-armor mines. I don't know if those are anti-personnel. I think those are anti-armor. They seem kind of big. Read a lot of posts from Russian Telegram that they're saying the cluster munitions are very effective. I mean, just the footage that I've seen of Russians being attacked by cluster munitions sounds terrifying. It's like boom, 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 boom. You know, just like, it sounds terrifying. And I do believe I have some of this footage queued up. So yeah, it looks like we got a big pile of mines getting blowed up. Man, you know, would a simple, could you just cover it? You probably could have covered that up with some like leaves and some shit, you know, and no one would have been the wiser. You just let those mines just sit out there and bake in the hot sun, huh? The drone technology is getting better, Lenny. They're able to carry heavier bombs now. So this is crazy, dude.
Insane footage from inside a Ukrainian Humvee during...
Yeah, so it's totally bananas.
Infantry Brigade.
Firing away.
Thank you to the American people. Your Humvees saved the lives of Ukrainian soldiers.
Firing away, doing everything they can, you know, soldiers getting out immediately, so they're like right next to a trench probably. This is probably a trench clearing operation. You know, just the guy just shooting away, doing everything he can to protect that position. But you can't hit every angle. You know, you can't hit every angle, and then this is what happens. So they were hit with you know, RPG of some sort, you know, who knows what kind it was. But they all survived because of the strength of the armor. They all survived. Isn't that great? You know, you're hit with, I mean, look what it does. I mean, for everything being in perfect working condition, to completely fucking slagged. and the soldiers are still alive, and the soldiers are still safe. I mean, imagine if that's what the shock wave and everything does to the inside. Imagine what that does to your fucking guts and your brains, dude. Right? You're like, oh, holy shit! You like more dazed than you've ever been in your life.
The war can end if you...
All right, make sure you buy merch, guys. Buy the merch. So I just wanted to show that absolutely shocking footage. Totally shocking footage. And I'm glad those guys got out of there alive. Well, it seems to be talking about cluster munitions. I'm a little curious since we were just talking about it. Let's see here.
Simple. 88 submunitions in one projectile increases the combat power and the chances of destroying the Russians by 88 times, he said. In Germany, tens of thousands of such projectiles await disposal, while they will allow the soldiers of the Ukrainian armed forces to strike at Russian artillery and defuse mined areas, as they have a range of up to 45 kilometers.
Lenny loves his garbage fuel blanket. Thank you so much, Lenny, for supporting my merch store and reminding everybody that if you also support my wonderful sponsor, Garbage Fuel, the #1 drink mix company in the world, serving the #1 drink mix garbage fuel made from 100% garbage juice. You can get yourself some Garbage Fuel merch. This is the only merch store in the world that has garbage fuel merchandise. So make sure you pick it up today. All right, moving on here. Horrific. And look, and this is why I was so vehement about Ukraine not employing a terror campaign against Russia, because this is Russia. This is Russia's terror campaign against Ukraine. Do we really want to lower ourselves to this level of this Russian barbarity? It's not even effective. Is this real? Is this one real or is this one fake? I have a real one. Almost looks fake. But this one's real, and this one's even more frightening. So this is 4 o'clock in the morning. 4 o'clock in the morning. What region? Russian missile attack on Dnipro. This is a Russian missile attack on Dnipro in the Dnipro River area. It's a good chance that these aren't military targets. Well, yeah, they got up out of bed because they heard a missile flying over their fucking bed. And another one. And another one. And another one. Do we honestly think that these are Ukrainian military targets? It's absolute chaos. You could see it, you could hear it, and then see the damn missile come in, man. God damn it. Fucking god damn it, dude. Еще! 4 missiles. These are tens of thousands of dollars each, by the way. These are tens of thousands of dollars each. Еще! People waiting for the really cool shit to happen because of World War III. You know, like the United States gets desperate and starts using the captured UFOs that apparently it has. It just starts busting out the crazy UFO technology as a last ditch effort. Here's the aftermath of that last video. Oh, we should watch it. So let's see. Are these are military targets, right? I'm sure these are going to be military targets. Come on. I mean, this is Russia. Russia doesn't attack civilians for no. Okay, yeah, that's what is that? A museum? Theater. So it was. It's an important place culturally to the Ukrainians. The video before the last one. One of the lady. Oh, I see. Hey, should I just surf Twitter? Hey, didn't this guy die?
We like to have our bowl of cereal, don't we? This is a primal version of your bowl of cereal.
Didn't this guy
I got
die?
my testicles in farm fresh.
Oh, the one I said was
from
fake.
Liver King
Oh,
Ranch.
okay.
The most feared warriors, the Maasai. What they get down on is milk, meat, and blood.
Okay, no thanks. Okay, guys, I'm traumatized, but final video of the day. Unfortunately, a little bit of bad news. There was a bit of a Ukrainian defeat on the front lines here. This is part of war. Ukraine and nobody with any sense in their head promised that there wasn't going to be losses. Okay. The numbers speak for themselves. Well, okay, we already did the map update, Davey. We're just going to talk about what happened on the front line here with Ukraine. But the numbers speak for themselves. You know, Russia's losing almost 2-1 when it comes to equipment and manpower against Ukraine. And even though I know Russia is like, this is the war they want to fight, you know, a war of attrition, a war of production. Eventually those numbers do have to catch up to you. You would think that is, wow, that doesn't sound very sustainable. But there's a lot more bullets, missiles, and Russians to go. So the question is, how long are the Russian people going to put up with this? And there doesn't seem to be any real, honest mass movement within Russia to stop any of this. That's the unfortunate reality, is that the only entity that could possibly stop Putin are the Russian people. And, you know, of course there are anti-war Russians, but there is, like I said, there's no mass anti-war movement inside Russia right now.
Hello, my friends, and welcome.
Clutch Cargo likely. I mean, I think they've triggered. I think they've basically set the rules for what is basically a permanent mobilization now. I think that's kind of what they've set up. They're just constantly pulling people in now. It's not really an announced mobilization, you know, but they're just constantly doing recruiting and bringing in people. It's not like an announced phased thing. It's just like we're constantly doing it.
I have to start this video from the bad news. As you know, Ukraine performed the attack from the Urozhaina village yesterday. The idea was to expand the bridgehead in this area because there is the significant risk for Ukrainian army of being attacked by the Russian forces from two of the directions, from the east and from the west. That is why it's crucial for Ukrainian army to expand on the sides, not just southbound. But yesterday's Ukrainian attack appeared to be not so successful because it brought lots of the losses. Ukrainian convoy that started the assault towards the Russian positions was ambushed by the Russian artillery. Today we have the confirmation about it. Ukraine lost quite a lot of the infantry vehicles and army personnel. Ukrainian side reports about 20 of the casualties from our side. It seems that Russian forces predicted that movement and aimed their artillery systems towards the place. Anyways, Ukrainian army took the ground in this area, but for what cost? We have even the drone video confirmation that is coming from the Russian side. From that video, I may say that there were 4 of the armored vehicles of Ukraine. Plus, we have the exact position of the Ukrainian convoy ambushment. It's on the eastern side from Urozhaine village. I will not publish the video from the Russian drone on this platform, but I already shared it on my Telegram channel. You may check it out in the video description just below. The video here is not good. But what can I say? It's war and we also have losses, and sometimes our commanders make mistakes. We're gonna speak about the Ukrainian officers training later in this video. I have my own comments about this issue, but I'll keep them for now with myself. But I'll tell you what Deep State Military Map Resource writes about this case. They say that the mission of this particular convoy was to use the ground roads and move towards this position. The Russian artillery didn't open the fire until our armored vehicles reached their destination and gathered at the same compact group. There is the big question that Deep State asks, why there was no any cover from Ukraine.
Why are you clumping up? You're out in the open and you're clumping up? That's rookie shit. We got to do better.
Artillery of our convoy. For now, this question is open and no one is able to answer it. They confirm that Ukraine lost around 20 of the soldiers in this ambushment. The Russian Telegram channels and media resources start to share this information as their victory to increase or boost the morale of the Russian soldiers. Usually the Russian military bloggers complain a lot about their situation on the front lines, and they take any kind of the opportunity of the Ukrainian army mistake to boost their morale. Actually, if we check out the Deep State Military Map Resource,
well, and look at that. Look at that in the ticker there, folks. Look at that shit. God damn. 7 kids died from that strike that we just saw. You see that there? Hold on. Let me see if I can. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. 7 dead in missile strike on Ukrainian theater. See if I can actually get this here. Kills 7, injures 144. Look at this, folks. All right, this is going to be our last video of the day. Right here. Coverage of this. It looks like it was not fake. That video I showed earlier, it was just 2 seconds. It was kind of hard to tell what was going on after that it's only 2-second video. But
you can see this car has been
7 kids
thrown against this building. This is the typical force of the blast caused by a ballistic missile. A branch has broken and there is shattered glass everywhere, not just here, but across this square and neighboring.
And you saw those missiles coming in. Those are big time, not some toy drone whipped up by some rebel living in Ukraine. We're talking fired from a military truck, intentionally targeting civilian infrastructure, in this case, a theater. A theater. I mean, it really does show, like, what does Russia consider to be, their threat, right? Is it the military? Is it NATO? No, it's society. It's culture. That's what Russia deems as a big threat to its existence. People realizing that they can have a better life outside of Russia. That's the biggest threat to Russia's, according to Russia, that's the biggest threat to it.
Streets. Roof tiles have been blown off, and here you can see the building which has borne the brunt of this strike, the regional theatre. You can see the roof is seriously damaged and the windows have been blown out, and on the pavement in front there are blood stains where emergency teams try to
7
work on
kids,
the injured. Now, a drone exhibition was being held here today, and the organizer has said that everyone was urged to go to the air raid shelter. There were military guests, and it suggests a possible motive for Russia targeting this building, but there is an overarching reason too, and that is its continued invasion of Ukraine. That is why Russian missiles continue to land in cities across the country, not necessarily in locations.
All right. This is the News Underground. We don't like bullshit like this. Fly by without a comment. You're telling me Ukrainians were having a drone exhibition and there were members of the military in this building and they let children hang around this building? Am I hearing this correctly? I'm not going to stand for that. Okay? If this was a civilian event and it's some, play or something that they're watching, okay, yeah, kids are going to be there. This is a exhibition for drone technology with members of the Ukrainian military present, and we're going to allow kids to run around here, getting 7 kids killed. We got to tighten this shit up. You're all clumping up like a JV football team, getting surprised by artillery. That's one thing. That's war. You're letting kids hang around a potential military target. That's irresponsible. That is incredibly irresponsible for the people who planned this event and the people who attended this event and allowed it to happen. I'm not putting the blame of their deaths on Ukrainian civilians. Let's get that clear. Putin and Russia are to blame for their deaths. But I understand that there's a lot that it's important to, life must go on. We can't allow Putin to frighten us into our basements 24/7. I get that as well, right? People need to emerge from their basements and live their life. But can we have some common sense, caution? I hope this is a lesson that will be learned. I hope these 7 children died so that the rest of the Ukrainian children can be surrounded by adults that are a little bit more aware of the danger that they're in. It's a drone expo with military members present. It's a little shameful that they were allowed to, that children were allowed to be in this area.
Which it was never able to occupy. This was a city that came under sustained attack early in the full-scale invasion.
I'm sorry,
It had enjoyed a reprieve,
I'm not going to let that
relative
stand.
reprieve in terms of airstrikes, but this is the reality now for so many Ukrainians, where sirens go off most days, and every once in a while you have a scene of devastation like this.
And look, I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it. I just said it. I'm going to say it again. We can't let Putin, force us into the damn basement 24/7. I get that, right? And kids should have the ability to go play outside. This is a little different, man. It's not a gun show, but drones have become a major part of this war. And on top of that, there's also Ukrainian military present in the building. Please, I beg the Ukrainian government to look at this incident and, throw out some PSAs, hey, if you're doing something that is even remotely military related, here are some steps. Here are some precautionary steps you can do to help save lives in case you are targeted by Russia. So, absolutely tragic. I'm angry because I feel like some of this might have, some of the death might have been preventable. Obviously, you're not going to prevent everyone from getting killed, but I feel like we could have prevented some kids dying here. And that's where I'm coming from, and that's why I'm so fired up when I see this. I feel like they could have, the kids' deaths could have been prevented. That's all. That's why I'm fired up. All right, folks, we got big, fat garbage fuel awards. Not Ernest Grandma. Okay, little Ernest Grandma. But we got some big garbage fuel awards on top of Ernest Grandma's to hand out. Quick double tap, Garbage Fuel Award. Rebel Phoenix, new user with that Garbage Fuel Award. Congratulations to Rebel Phoenix. Securing a Garbage Fuel Award on one of your first visits. Securing your Garbage Fuel Award on one of your first visits. Amazing job. Mega Garbage Fuel Award is going to go to the #1 financial contributor to the stream, Lenny. Lenny. Make sure you check out Lenny's YouTube channel, Accidents Waiting to Happen. Clutch Cargo with a big, fat, greasy, disgusting, smelly Garbage Fuel Award. Thank you so much, Clutch Cargo. Husky Canvas. We going to do it, folks? We're going to do it. 2 new users with Garbage Fuel Awards. 2 new users with Garbage Fuel Awards. Thank you, Husky Canvas. You annoyed me for a little bit, but you know what? We'll put up with you. Garbage Fuel Award going to go to your boy, Davey. And also Woke Patriot and Chem Goblin for all of their contributions in the Discord. Thank you so much, Davey, Woke Patriot, and Chem Goblin for holding it down in the Discord. Big Garbage Fuel Award going to go to Oculus. Thank you, Oculus, for popping in and just being an awesome person. Thank you, Oculus. Orange Gamer Cat. Orange Gamer Cat. Garbage Fuel Award. Congratulations, Orange Gamer Cat. Garbage Fuel Award for you. Let's see here. I'm a conservative libertarian. Dan. No. No thanks. Volvet Chess, I think you already left, but thank you for coming in. Sorry about all the heated discussion there. Just making sure you weren't a grifter. Thank you, Volvet Chess. Thank you for stopping in. Michael Richards, thank you for coming back. Michael Richards, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Michael Richards. Libertarians are just failed Republicans. Pretty much. They're more pathetic Republicans. Nicholas Coplasia, thank you for that follow. Didn't stick around long enough to get that Garbage Fuel Award, but thank you for that follow. Quick double tap, I already said that. But you know what? You're awesome. You get two call outs. Thank you, Quick double tap. Got another follow here. Yeah, that was from him. Let's see here. What else we got? What else we got? Just looking at the users in the chat. Thank you, everybody. All you lurkers, all you, you know, not interested in getting into fights in the chat, but you like the show. Thank you for being here. Still better than all of yours. Looking forward to more War and Peace Wednesday. That's right, folks. If you are a fan of classic literature and amazing BBC productions, make sure you check out the channel this Wednesday for War and Peace Wednesdays. We've been watching the 1971 BBC production of War and Peace on Wednesdays, and it has been absolutely fascinating. Last episode, we did Austerlitz, the famous Napoleon's masterpiece, Austerlitz. It was I had so much fun doing that episode. All right, folks, I need you to remember something. Making political change. Oh, I have this. That's right. I forgot I had this. Making political change is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1, inform yourself. Step 2, join a progressive political organization. Maybe join a union. Maybe run for office. But sign up. Step 3, you got to put in the work. That's the only way we're going to do this. It's the only thing that's ever worked. We are under attack by a conservative, fascistic, conservative pogrom. I mean, what would you call this attempt to completely dismantle democracy across the nation? But our liberty is under attack. Not just lefties, but all civilians of the United States. And really all democracies, if you look at it, if you look at this template. But folks, I have the secret ingredient to make your lives better. It's called political activism. And it is the only thing that has ever stopped the oligarchy, the fascist elements, the corporate elements, It's the reason why we have the 8-hour work week or 8-hour work day. We'll get there one day, huh? But there's a million reasons why we need to participate in political activism. Okay? But you don't want to help other people? That's great. Just ask yourself what's going to help me. Look at your own self-interests and participate in activism there. That's great. If everyone literally was just totally Ferengi and totally selfish and only acted on their best self, on their most, selfish of self-interests, we would still have a better government than what we have today. Because right now we have a system that benefits a couple thousand people and shits on hundreds of millions to achieve that system. Peace in that motherfucking Middle East. Glory to the Ukrainian democracy. And we're going to see you again real soon on the News Underground, folks. All right? Take care of yourself. Call your mother. She misses you. Thank you, YouTube. We're going to say goodbye now. Bye-bye, YouTube.